Imagine this, a world on the edge, a deadly monster hunting in the shadows, and a woman fighting to survive, no matter what it takes. But just when you think she's out of options, bam! A twist so unexpected, it'll have you questioning everything you thought you knew. This is a story of survival, betrayal, and a whole lot of nerve. But before we get into the madness, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Dropping a like and a comment is the least you can do to show some love. And like we always say, even if some stories seem the same, they ain't never the same when I'm the one telling them. In a world falling apart, Juliette drives alone through an empty, destroyed land. She's on a mission: find food, find supplies, and stay alive. Her gun is always close, a cold reminder that danger lurks around every corner. She stops at an old gas station, hoping for a miracle, maybe some food, maybe some water. But the silence is broken by a low, deep growl from above. Her heart races. Something's up there. Without thinking, she speeds away, barely escaping whatever was hunting her. The world is broken, but it's not empty. Not yet. Juliette drives, her hand gripping the steering wheel tightly as her phone buzzes. It's Harry. "Did you find food?" he asks, his voice crackling through the speaker. She sighs, the weight of their world pressing on her shoulders. "The gas station's empty," she replies, trying to hide the disappointment. "I'll take a shortcut back. Battery's low." With a click, she hangs up, eager to save power. On her way, she spots an RV, its metal frame rusted and forgotten. Curious, she pulls over. Inside, she finds a man, badly wounded and barely clinging to life. "Where's the creature?" she demands, her gun aimed at his chest. He rasps out that he locked it inside. Her eyes narrow. She's not here for stories, she's here for food. The man, weak and terrified, tells her about the canned goods inside. But before she can step inside, he begs her to end his pain. "Please, I don't want to be eaten by a reaper." Juliette doesn't flinch. "I'm not wasting a bullet on you," she snaps, annoyed. "Your choice. Die from the wound, or come with me." Time's ticking. She enters the RV, the door creaking as it opens. Inside, chaos erupts. The windows shatter, and the RV shakes violently as Juliette fights the creature. A reaper, its claws like daggers. After a fierce battle, the monster is dead. But when Juliette steps out, she finds the man lifeless on the ground. Without a second thought, she loots the RV, taking all the food and supplies. The world is cold. You either survive or you don't. Juliette drives down the lonely road, the silence only broken by the hum of the engine. She looks down at a photo of herself with a man, a memory of better days. Her fingers gently trace the edges of the picture, her mind lost in the past. But then, the wind picks up, and the photo slips from her hands. It flutters out the window. "No!" she yells, reaching for it, but her eyes are off the road. In that moment, everything goes wrong. The car swerves wildly, the tires screeching as the vehicle flips through the air. The world spins, a blur of metal and glass. Juliette holds on to nothing as the car tumbles over and over. Then, everything goes dark. In a flashback, Juliette stands in an art gallery, the walls lined with paintings and sculptures. It's quiet, except for the soft sound of rain tapping against the windows. Jack, the gallery owner, walks up to her with a smile. He tries to make small talk, but Juliette isn't in the mood for company. She looks at him, her voice flat. "I'm just here because it's raining outside." Jack shrugs, not bothered by her coldness. As the rain pours harder, he insists she take a closer look at the artwork. "Come on," he says. "Open your eyes. There's beauty all around you." But Juliette's not interested. The storm outside is louder than anything inside. Juliette slowly wakes up, her head pounding, and immediately feels the sharp pain in her leg. Her eyes widen as she notices the deep cut, her leg twisted unnaturally. The pain is almost unbearable. But that's not all. She looks around and realizes her gun is gone, lying just a few feet away from her. She grits her teeth and grabs her radio, hoping to call for help, but the static is deafening. No one answers. With night falling, she knows the Reapers will be more active soon, and she has to get her gun back. Using a long stick she found nearby, Juliette tries to hook the gun. Her hands shake as she carefully pushes the stick toward the handle. She almost has it, but at the last moment, the stick snaps apart and the gun slips further away. Frustration builds up inside her, but she knows she can't give up. In another flashback, Juliette walks down the street with Jack, eating as they talk. Jack tells a joke, teasing her that the food she's eating has meat in it. Juliette's eyes widen, and she spits out the bite in shock. But when she realizes it's just a joke, she laughs, not getting angry at all. Jack, with a grin, invites her to his apartment. Juliette agrees, curious. And when they get there, she's amazed by how beautiful his place is. It's nothing like she expected. Inside, they have a few drinks and some cheese. The conversation flows, but Juliette feels distant. She struggles to open up to Jack, even refusing to tell him her name when he asks. "Come on," Jack says. "What's your name?" She hesitates, wanting to leave. But after a little convincing, Juliette finally tells him her name. Jack smiles and introduces himself in return. One night, Jack spots Juliette at a bar, but she's not alone. She's with another man. Curiosity eats at him, so Jack follows them outside. He watches as the man hands Juliette money, and in exchange, she gives him something small. Jack's heart skips a beat when he sees Juliette push the man away, refusing a kiss. Following her down the street, Jack learns the truth. Juliette isn't just a stranger to him. She's a dealer. She's deep in debt, and she needs to buy her apartment back from another dealer who holds the keys to her life. Inside her apartment, Jack sees just how bad things are. He tries to make small talk, hoping to lighten the mood, but Juliette snaps at him. "Just leave," she says, her voice cold. He offers to help, but she refuses with a bitter edge. Jack feels uncomfortable, but his concern grows. When Juliette injects herself with something, it hits him hard. The woman he liked is a drug addict too. Feeling more lost than ever, Jack quietly walks out, the door clicking shut behind him. In the present, Juliette finally manages to pull her leg free from the steering wheel. The pain is unbearable, but she's determined to survive. She ties a makeshift tourniquet around her leg to stop the bleeding, then bravely pours alcohol over the wound. The sting almost makes her scream, but she forces herself to push the broken bone back into place. With her leg patched up as best as she can, Juliette grabs her radio to call Harry. "I'm hurt," she tells him, hoping he'll respond. But her frustration grows as no one answers. Her heart races when she hears the sound of a Reaper approaching. She crawls out of the car, desperate to get her gun. Hiding in the shadows, Juliette watches the creature carefully, her hand on the gun, ready to shoot if it spots her. Just then, her radio crackles to life. Harry's voice breaks the silence. Panic floods Juliette. Thinking quickly, she tosses the radio outside, hoping the sound will distract the monster. For a moment, she's sure the Reaper will find her. But then, the creature turns and walks away. It's distracted by the sound of another Reaper in the distance. Juliette lets out a quiet sigh of relief. Alone once again, she quickly reloads her gun, her eyes scanning the dark night, ready for whatever comes next. Back in the past, a bruised and battered Juliette showed up at Jack's apartment. Without asking a single question, Jack simply helped her. He cleaned her wounds, patched her up, and let her rest in a room to sleep. The next morning, Juliette thanked Jack, and they sat down for breakfast together. As they ate, Jack opened up about his life. He told Juliette that after his parents died, he struggled a lot in America, but eventually, he learned to adjust. "Maybe you could do the same," he suggested softly. Juliette, unsure of what to think, asked Jack if she could take a walk around the block to clear her mind, but Jack saw right through her. He knew she wasn't looking for fresh air, she was looking for a fix. Offended, Juliette tried to leave, but the elevator wouldn't work. In a flash of anger, she demanded that Jack let her go, but he stood firm. "You're staying with me until you're clean," he said, his voice steady. Enraged, Juliette started breaking things, throwing a fit, but Jack didn't back down. Instead, he hugged her tightly, holding her until she calmed down. Slowly, she softened, and he kissed her. In the silent, post-apocalyptic world, Juliette throws glow sticks outside to check for any Reapers nearby. When nothing happens, she carefully approaches her radio, her senses still on high alert. Suddenly, she hears something from behind her. Without hesitation, Juliette throws more glow sticks in different directions, hoping to spot the creature. It isn't long before she sees the Reaper perched on top of her car. Without a second thought, she fires her gun, taking the creature down. Juliette quickly returns to her vehicle, her heart pounding as she waits, eyes scanning every shadow. Then the Reaper appears out of nowhere. It rips off the window cover and reaches for her foot. In a panic, Juliette struggles to break free. She slams her foot on the gas pedal, and the car jerks forward, hurting the monster beneath the wheels. She waits again, knowing the Reaper is still out there. When she spots it running, she shoots a couple of rounds, but she doesn't realize that the creature has already snuck inside the car behind her. Startled, Juliette turns and fires, sending the Reaper scrambling away. Her hands shake as she tries to fix her radio, but the trembling only makes it harder. Looking for comfort, Juliette reaches for her flask, only to find it empty. In a flashback, Jack and Juliette are seen moving into their new house, excited yet nervous about the changes in their lives. Juliette smiles, but there's a nervousness behind her eyes. unsure of what the future will bring. Jack gently touches her face, his touch bringing comfort and warmth. Jack takes her hand and leads her to a room they've set aside for their future child. He talks about how happy their little one will be there, but Juliette is unsure. She wonders if she'll be a good mother and if she can make their child happy. Jack reassures her, saying the most important thing is to try. He believes they'll figure it out together. Before they move on to explore the rest of the house, Jack asks her to say, "I love you." Juliette doesn't say the words directly, but Jack can feel it. Later, Juliette tells him she's pregnant. Jack is overjoyed, but the joy quickly fades. Unfortunately, Juliette gives birth to a stillborn baby, and the couple faces the painful reality of going home to an empty nursery room where the silence feels louder than anything they've ever known. Back in Juliette's tough reality, she finally gets her radio working and reaches Harry. She tells him her situation and where she is, but the signal is so bad that they can barely understand each other. Juliette hears Harry talking about a locator beacon, but the connection is too weak to make sense of it. After the call, Juliette grabs the beacon and tries to follow the instructions in the manual. When the beacon finally starts working, Juliette moves quickly to barricade the windows, but then she realizes something terrible. A Reaper is waiting outside, its monstrous form looming like a nightmare come to life. The creature claws at the vehicle, trying to get in as Juliette presses her foot against the window cover, hoping it'll leave. After a tense moment, the Reaper finally retreats, its fingers injured from the struggle. Juliette quickly secures the cover with a rod, preparing to shoot if the creature comes back. The Reaper, however, is relentless, circling her car and hitting it from every direction. Just as she's bracing for the worst, Juliette gets another call from Harry. She tells him about the attack, and Harry tells her to use her flashlight. He knows Reapers hate bright lights and thinks that will make it go away, but Juliette tells him the flashlight is broken, leaving her with only darkness and fear. Juliette waits anxiously, knowing Harry and his group are on their way to rescue her. She just needs to hold on a little longer, but the Reaper is far from done. It smashes the windshield of Juliette's car, leaving her vulnerable and trapped. With no time to waste, Juliette quickly turns on her headlights, blasting bright light at the creature. The Reaper, unable to stand the light, backs off and finally leaves her alone. Once the monster is gone, Juliette quickly calls Harry. She asks him when they'll get there, hoping for good news. But Harry, sounding apologetic, tells her the truth. She won't be rescued until sunrise, and she'll have to wait through the long, dark night alone. In the past, Jack was frustrated with Juliette for always running away. He was tired of worrying about her every time she disappeared, but Juliette wouldn't listen to him. She pushed Jack, asking him to admit that he blamed her for the death of their baby. Jack denied it, saying that wasn't true. Juliette then reminded him that he had pressured her into having a child, even though she wasn't ready. Jack didn't argue back. Feeling hopeless, Jack stepped out of the car, planning to take the subway. Before he left, he finally told Juliette that her past drug use was the reason their baby died. He ended their relationship, leaving Juliette heartbroken. As she cried, she shouted that she didn't need him. Hours later, after drinking in a bar, Juliette heard the news. There had been an attack at the subway station, and over 30 people were killed. She immediately picked up a call she had been ignoring, and was shocked to learn that Jack was among the victims. Terrified, Juliette rushed out to find him. Back in the present, Juliette hears a vehicle drive by and honks the horn, hoping to catch its attention. A man on a bike stops and promises to help her. However, things take a dark turn when the man reveals he's a cannibal and tries to stab Juliette. Just as he's about to strike, a Reaper appears and attacks the cannibal. The creature ruthlessly crushes the man's skull, and his friends quickly flee in fear. As Juliette watches the Reaper feast on the cannibal, she checks how many bullets she has left, slowly placing the gun under her chin. Just as she's about to pull the trigger, Juliette remembers the look in Jack's eyes the night of the subway attack. She recalls how Jack's larynx and trachea were burned by the gas used in the attack, leaving him unable to speak. When Juliette visited Jack in the hospital, she apologized for everything that had happened, and Jack, too weak to speak, could only touch the thick plastic separating them. With a marker and whiteboard, Jack wrote that he loved her and urged her to never give up. As Juliette recalls this, she puts the gun down. Determined to survive, Juliette grabs a flare and 2 fuel containers from the vehicle, soaking one with gasoline. She lights the flare and waves it around to get the Reaper's attention. When the creature approaches, she leads it to the fuel-soaked ground she prepared earlier. As the Reaper steps onto the gasoline, Juliette shoots the can, causing an explosion meant to destroy it. But to her horror, the Reaper survives and escapes. Once again in danger, Juliette stays alert, searching for the creature, not knowing it's sneaking up behind her. The Reaper suddenly grabs Juliette, knocking her gun from her hands. In a panic, she crawls back into the car, but the creature grabs her leg and starts pulling her out. The pain from her wound makes it worse, but Juliette fights back, The Reaper finally pulls her out of the vehicle and throws her to the ground. As the creature gets closer, Juliette grabs the gun she managed to pick up and shoots the Reaper twice, tears running down her face as she realizes her nightmare is over. Looking up at the stars, a wave of sadness for Jack's death floods her mind. When the sun finally rises, the creature suddenly moves and crawls toward Juliette. But she can't shoot it because her gun is empty. Terrified that she might die at any moment, Juliette quickly reloads her gun. The Reaper is now right on top of her, and she can only lie still as it gently touches her face. To her shock, Juliette realizes that the Reaper is Jack. As she looks into its eyes, memories of the day she first met Jack flood her mind. He had told her he believed in fate and that the universe always brought people together. A bit skeptical, Juliette had asked him what he would do if she left him right then. Jack, in a romantic gesture, had closed the gallery and decided to walk home with her, showing how much he cared. Back in the present, Juliette cries as she finally says the words she had been holding in for so long, "I love you." With tears streaming down her face, she wraps her arms around Jack and leans her head against his. Now that she's found her way back to him, Juliette decides that together they will move on to the afterlife. If you were Juliette, trapped in a nightmare with a relentless Reaper on your tail, would you keep fighting or would you give up and let the darkness win? Let me know what you do in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more wild stories like this.